Let's start with the Slag Ravine, the first Laputa relic. I'm using this image again. This is the Slag Ravine where the main character Pazu lives. As I mentioned earlier, it was left as a setting in Laputa, but you cannot tell what it is just by looking at it. There are many original ideas in Laputa, so let's take a look at them Buratamori style, which means I'll stroll down to the Slag Ravine to seek this Laputa relic. First, what is slag? It is waste that is emitted when extracting metal from ore. When extracting metal, copious amounts of waste are produced. Take a look at this concept image. Can you see it? It says Tanju right here. It literally means mine house. So this is a residential area where coal miners live. There used to be residence for coal miners in the Miike coal mine, the Yubari coal mine, and even in the famous Gunkanjima. So coal mining houses are lined up here. Originally, the Slag Ravine was a coal mining town. A lot of slag, called spoil, is produced during the mining process. When you extract a cluster of coal and crack it open, there's actually only a tiny bit of coal and 100 of times more of its spoils. So there's always a spoil tip near the coal mine, which is a pile built of accumulated slag. The great thing about Gunkanjima was that all the spoils were dumped into the sea, so there wasn't really a spoil tip. In the movie Radon, Giant Monster of the Sky, there are scenes of a larval monster climbing up a spoil tip. I thought the monster was climbing a mountain at first, but it wasn't. It was just accumulated mining spoils, so it's a man-made mountain of slag. Therefore, this deep valley of the Slag Ravine is not a natural valley. It's a man-made valley made of coal mining spoils or slag, and that's the original idea for the setting. That was supposed to be why it has such extreme terrain features. Oh, it's a little too chilly. Will you stop the fan? However, the mine where Pazu lives, which was originally planned to be a coal mine, was later changed into a mine for valuable materials, such as silver, copper, tin, etc. It was once a place where raw ore could be mined abundantly, but now not much is extracted, and all you see is mineral waste. So soon someone started calling the place the Mineral Waste Valley or the Slag Valley, and it eventually became known as the Slag Ravine. Now, let's take a look at the Slag Ravine again on the previous model. This model is quite sloppily made. How sloppy? You can see the newspaper from the back. I have to be extra careful with where I grab. For example, right here, it can easily become dented like this. So I can only use it for one broadcast. This is the overall shape of the Slag Ravine. Its actual depth is about twice the size of the model. So this model is not accurate around here. The depth is a bit off. You see towns here and there on the surface of the valley, but in the actual scene, this valley is twice as deep. And the towns located at the bottom of the valley are clustered together. Right at this location, there's a crossroad. This is the main street of the town, and this is the crossroad. At the beginning of the movie, there's a scene where Shida is attacked by pirates and falls out of the blimp. As she falls, you can see the tiny cross-shaped light next to her. Can you see it? This cross-shaped light changes in the next scene and becomes the crossroad in the Slag Ravine. Rather than falling into the crossroad, Shida falls straight into the Slag Ravine. You can tell by looking at the subtle cross-shaped light, the crossroad, and the shopping street Pazu runs through. Speaking of Pazu, let's look at this model again. This is the location of the crossroad. Here is Pazu's house. And here is the hole in the mine where Pazu brings stew to his boss. Pazu goes to work from his house, and he was told to buy dinner. So he goes down the street to the shopping area at the crossroad. He buys some stew and then goes back up to the mine for work again, like that. Let's see. As I mentioned in the movie, the camera zooms in on the crossroad, then the scene switches to a shop that grills sausages or something. Then it shows Pazu buying stew in a store. This is the area I mentioned earlier. I'd like you to notice that all the stores are open, even though it's nighttime. It's not that Pazu goes to the store early in the night. It's actually pretty late at night. And that's because, as it applies to all over the world, people work 24 hours on a 3-shift basis in the mine. Therefore, various stores in mining towns are always open for 24 hours. Whether it's a bookstore, a toy store, a restaurant, or a bar, a movie theater, a cabaret, or a coffee shop, every store is open for 24 hours a day. So it's always a lively town like this. Pazu runs through this lively town, but if you look closely, there's someone sleeping. You might think this scene is atypical of Hayao Miyazaki style, but that's not the case here. Because this kind of thing never happens in a mining town with a good economy. For example, if you watch a film on Gunkanjima, stores there were open 24 hours a day. The monthly salary of college graduates at this time was roughly 3,000 yen to 5,000 yen. But coal miners were paid about 80,000 yen a month. So they wouldn't fall asleep in the street like this. Miners were very energetic, and if they saw someone passed out in the street, they would carry that person to the next bar and treat them to a drink. This was when the mining economy was booming. The town of the Slag Ravine was once flourishing like this, and 24-hour stores were increasing. But we can see that's not the case in this scene. Pazu happens to witness the girl falling from the sky, and he runs for help. Pazu runs to rescue her. The girl is falling into the mine hole, and Pazu screams, "Whoa, what's going on?" It may seem like he's running to the opposite side, but he's actually trying to go around to pass through this huge pulley and catch her. Now the hole in this mine is unusually large, maybe about 50 meters in diameter, and the bottom of this 50-meter wide hole, where the depth is more than 50 meters deep, there's an elevator, a simple elevator which descends about 800 meters. The speed of this elevator is close to free falling. You're floating in the air until you reach the bottom. If you see interviews of coal miners, they were so scared by the speed that they grasped the handrails until their hands turned white. Miners bore the fear and descended to the bottom. This huge pulley in the middle is the hoist for the elevator. Pazu was told by his boss to control it. When a bell rings, his boss says, "Pazu, give it a try." "Really?" "Just be careful." Just like that, the lever that Pazu is grasping controls the pulley, which is powered by a steam engine. It's roughly 800 meters deep and only takes about 10 or 20 seconds, so it's faster than a high-speed elevator at Skytree. If you make an error with the timing of the brake, everyone will immediately die. Even in the records of the coal mine, at the time, it was common for people to die due to mistakes when operating an elevator, so Pazu is very nervous, since his boss has his hands full and he thinks Pazu can handle it. As soon as the miners come up in the elevator, they show a sample of their excavation to the geologist. This old man isn't a coal miner. Well, he's dressed like one. But he's looking at the ore with a magnifying glass, so he's a geologist. He's looking at the sample and sees a pattern between the stones, but he can't find silver or tin. Not even tin can be seen. That means the miners came up empty. So the boss feels really disappointed and he releases the steam from the kiln.